War. War never changes. Alright, so I tried watching the show last year. I admit I got bored about an episode and a half in, but Babe is a huge Fallout fan, and so he convinced me to give it another try, and oh my god. Oh, have I mentioned I'm actually bi? So I'm gonna give a spoiler warning for this, because I will be talking about what happens in the finale of this season. Just saying, so you've been warned. Alright, let's get started. Fallout Season 1. So this series on Amazon Prime is based off of the widely renowned video game series, none of the games of which I've actually played in their entirety, but here's how I understand it as Babe broke it down for me. First couple of games are good, but they're really dated. Then Fallout 3 was like the first one that everyone still talks about, which is okay. Then New Vegas happened and everyone loves that one because it has a really good story. Then Fallout 4 happened, which is good for the most part. I guess it has a bad story, but still fun to play. Latest entry is Fallout 76, which is a prequel, which everyone just kind of hates. That was a few years ago. Now we have this series, which everyone loves. This has been made apparent because it won an Emmy and was nominated for a lot more. And the series is actually canon to the games. It takes place chronologically after all of them so far though. So we gotta set up the world of Fallout. It's post-apocalyptic, but culturally everyone's still kind of stuck in the 50s, although gadgets have certainly improved in a retro kind of way. It's really cool looking aesthetically. On the surface, it's mostly wasteland because the bombs have dropped, so there's radiation everywhere. There are settlements around, but for the most part, it's a shit show, with factions like the Brotherhood of Steel and the New California Republic fighting for dominance. Meanwhile, underground, there are a bunch of vaults where people who aren't really in the know, they live out their rich, happy lives. Now enter our story, which is actually a few different characters meeting in one story eventually. We start out with Lucy McLean, played by Ella Purnell. Her father, Hank, played by Kyle MacLachlan, is kidnapped by surface dwellers, so Lucy leaves her vault 33 to go find him. Meanwhile, in the Brotherhood of Steel, there's a guy named Maximus, who's assigned a mission essentially. He acquires power armor and has a lot of fun using that. And then we have the mysterious Ghoul, who's on his own mission. Basically, everyone's looking for this item, which we don't really know what it is for most of the season, but that's essentially this season in a nutshell. There are secrets that unfold that tie into the larger story arc of the games, which I'll get into when I touch on the finale. But yeah, now we have Fallout, the series. Now, where to begin with this? The characters are all great. Lucy's kind of the fish out of water in this scenario because she's wandering the wasteland, but she's from a vault, so she's gonna be really naive, uneducated as to how this whole world works now. And she meets up with Maximus and with the Ghoul. The dialogue is really well written between all the characters. Max does have a likable quality about him, although he does do some pretty douchey things. That being said, it's the post-apocalypse, you know? It's justified. It's kill or be killed. The Ghoul, whose name we later learn is Cooper Howard, is probably the most interesting character in this entire show, because we learn a lot about his past. This show has a lot of flashbacks to before the bombs that really fill in the gaps of the backstory, not just for the series, but for the games as a whole, which I imagine longtime Fallout fans must have loved learning. And Cooper's past has a lot to do with it. I mean, how about the fact that he was the original poster boy for Vault Tech? He's the face behind Vault Boy, which even if you've never heard of Fallout, that Vault Boy image, like you've seen that. Yeah, that's that character. Pretty crazy. And the aesthetic of the show is really unique and interesting. I mean, at first it reminded me of BioShock a little bit with the retro futurism, but it does take it a step further, especially with the needle drops. Oh my god. So many old-timey needle drops. I got about 10 songs stuck in my head from the show. Grab it! Bam! It's a man. So it has that old-timey aesthetic, which we've seen in a lot of stuff before, but this story and situation, this world lends itself to it in a really good way. It just works. And then there's the not-so-subtle message against war and big corporations. That's pretty much what Fallout is all about. I mean, each of the games begins with a monologue of Ron Perlman going, "War never changes," and he goes on from there, but yeah, I can almost see this actually happening in our world if it weren't for the retrofuturism. Like, this could still very well happen. The way I see this entire franchise is it's a cautionary tale about what would happen if we let big corporations take over the world, because that's pretty much what happened in Fallout. That being said, the production design of this show, oh my god. I haven't been this impressed with production design since Wicked, because the showrunners and creators, they did their homework and it shows. Because not only did they nail the aesthetic from the games, from what I've seen anyway, but most of the big sets, they're practical. They're tangible, you can definitely tell. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of CG involved too, and it's usually not the best CG. Usually when it comes to either the power armor, which is practical for a lot of it, but mostly the big creatures, which are from the games, the big gulper or some of the roaches or whatever, or the big irradiated bear, the Yaoguai. But again, if you look behind the scenes, they had a guy in a big foam suit, so it wasn't just a tennis ball. You can tell this show had a really big budget, and they put it to good use, because they went under the method that they only used CG to do what they couldn't do with practical effects already. That's the win right there. That's how every movie and show should do it from now on. That's how Wicked did it, and it works really, really, really well for Fallout. Because the sets look amazing. Everywhere from the vaults to the town Philly to the big barren deserts, which were all shot on location in Namibia, the outskirts of New York. It's awesome. And even the wardrobe, the costume design is all great too. From the vault suit that Lucy wears to the janky outfit that the ghoul is wearing. It's all so immersive. Everything comes together to immerse you in this world that is Fallout. And that's one of the biggest things that ultimately won me over here. I love a good immersive world. This show gives me that with aces. And also with the music. I touched on the needle drops already, but Ramin Djawadi did the score for this. You know I'm a huge fan of that guy. Iron Man, Eternals, Game of Thrones, Westworld, and so much more. Now Fallout. Not only did he come up with original themes for some of the characters, but he also incorporated themes from the games. Again, that is win. It's like, yeah, Hollywood's finally learning to do that. The Mario movie, Sonic 3, now Fallout. Music from the games in your live action adaptations, yeah, that is what we want. And with Fallout, that's what you get. So now I'm gonna talk about the finale, so again, spoiler warning, let's talk about this, cause even for someone who hasn't played most of the games, it was pretty mind-blowing for me. So Lucy finds her father in this new NCR headquarters, which is at Griffith Observatory. So yeah, we're in Los Angeles, and this is where all the big revelations happen. For lack of a better phrase, the bombs were dropped. So over the course of the season, we see that Vault 31 has a big secret behind it. I should mention that Vaults 31, 32, and 33, they're all connected. 33 being where Lucy is from, and her younger brother Norm, who's played by Moises Iris, who I remember from Hannah Montana, but he's the one who goes into 31 and discovers all this stuff. We learned that those from Vault 31, they're actually Vault-Tec employees from before the bombs who cryo-froze themselves because they saw themselves as the brightest minds in the world, so they wanted to carry their ideas into the future. Buds, as it were, because Bud Askins was the one behind it all, the dweeb. Yeah, we see in a flashback with Cooper Howard before he became the ghoul, before the bombs, that there was this big meeting with all the CEOs, which when Robert House showed up, Babe was like, oh my god, New Vegas! And I was like, okay. But yeah, like this meeting is like the pivotal point of pretty much the entire Fallout series, the entire franchise. Because we learned that these are the people who came up with all the different experiment ideas for the vaults. Because we learned that all these vaults, they're all just a bunch of scientific experiments on people and whatever. And as if that wasn't enough, the biggest bomb that dropped is the fact that they are the ones who dropped the bomb in the first place so this could happen. Vault-Tec specifically. Yeah, when Barb mentioned that, I was like, holy shit. That's crazy, because big corpos being big corpos, they don't care about people at all. They just care about advancement in science and money. Plus the fact that I guess this was a big, like, fan theory forever among the Fallout fan community. So this being confirmed for them must have been really just mind-blowing. So again, the big win for this series is even for me, someone who had never played the games before, I was still mind-blown. That's the win. That's how you do an adaptation. You appeal to fans and non-fans alike. That never happens usually. Like Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie only appealed to fans. Non-fans hated the shit out of it. I rest my case. So more revelation, we learned that Hank McClane, Lucy's father, was one of those Vault-Tec employees back in the day. Although the de-aging there did not look good at all, just saying. And regarding Lucy's mother, Rose, she found out about this and took the kids when they were kids outside the vault to this town Shady Sands, which is from the first two Fallout games and was eventually blown up. No one knew why. We learned that Hank eventually found Rose and the kids there. Rose didn't want to go back to the vault, so Hank, being a psycho, he just selfishly blew the place up, along with Max's parents as well, because they all lived there. So that's another thing that was answered for Fallout fans. What happened to Shady Sands? Oh, it's because of Muad'Dib over here. So what happened to Rose? Well, she's a feral ghoul now, which I haven't explained. Ghouls were people who were affected by the radiation. They're now pretty much invincible. But some ghouls, they eventually lose their minds and become feral, such is the case with Rose McClane, who Lucy just eventually ends up mercy killing. So this item that everyone's been going after is revealed to be cold fusion, whatever that means. But Moldaver uses it to restore power to Los Angeles, which again, I was like, holy shit. But then the Brotherhood of Steel invades, because Max, like Desi Arnaz before him, he loves Lucy, so he wants to get her back. The Brotherhood basically commandeers this new headquarters for themselves, like the fucking tech hoarders they are. Moldaver dies in the fight, she bleeds out, but Max shows up in the room, which now Hank is in the power armor. He knocks Max out, and then he escapes, which is interesting because, yeah, now he's a douche. He did some pretty fucked up shit. It's funny how at first we saw him as a good guy, it turns out he's an asshole. Perspective is cool. So the ghoul shows up too. Before Hank escaped, he pointed the gun at him. He's like, where's my family? Apparently Hank knows what happened to Cooper Howard's family, but he's like, I'm not gonna tell you. He just leaves. So Lucy joins Cooper Howard and they're gonna go hunt him down. She wanted to bring Max along, but he was wiped out and she couldn't carry him. She would have been over encumbered. So they leave without him. Afterwards, Max does wake up and the Brotherhood finds him there and they're like, oh shit, you killed Moldaver. Hail Knight Maximus. And he's like, Okay. Oh, great. Another lie for him. Because he lied about being a knight initially. This is probably going to happen again with him because he likes his power trips. And then the big shock at the very end, we see where Hank is going and it shows a view of the city. I immediately knew what it was because it's New Vegas, which made Babe, of course, go ballistic. Even as we were watching it, this was like his 4th time watching it. He still went nuts. And I was like, all right, cool. And so that's where season 1 leaves off. So season 2 is going to touch on New Vegas and stuff. Fallout New Vegas, which is widely regarded as the best game of the series, at least story-wise. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for Fallout Season 2. In the end, at least for now, Fallout Season 1 was really impressive for me. I was pretty blown away. I love the characters, I love the set design, I love the dialogue, I love the message, I love the music, I love it all. This would have been one of my favorite seasons of TV last year had I watched it last year like I should have. This just goes to show that you don't have to be a fan of the games to enjoy this show. That's how it should be. Again, that's how all adaptations should be. All 8 episodes are now streaming on Amazon Prime Video. I strongly urge you to watch the show. Cause you know when season 2 revs up and marketing revs up for it, Babe and I are gonna be all over that shit. But until then, Fallout Season 1, have you watched it? What are your thoughts on it? Who's your favorite character? And what are your theories and or predictions for Season 2? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Peace!